David Coulter now joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Executive Coulter, thank you for being with us today.
Well, good morning. I'm curious, am I going to make the greatest hits replay or?
We'll see about that. I think there's a very high chance that you do, David Coulter. So how are you? How's your team at the county office doing?
Always great to be with you. Things are well here. I'm in the office. We're getting back to our new normal. I'm in the office more than I used to be, and it's feeling good.
Well, as always, good news. Good to hear. So yesterday in West Bloomfield, there was an event at West Bloomfield High School, Drive-In for Justice. It was an event in support of Black Lives Matter and some of the social justice movements we've seen pop up in the month of June. It was a great way to cap off the month of June. And at the event, we had Lisa Brown from Oakland County alongside West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder on site to help people register to vote for the upcoming elections. For Oakland County residents who maybe have fallen, but for Oakland County residents who maybe haven't registered yet, how critical on a local level is voting to making change?
Boy, I think if there's one thing that we've all learned over the past few years, it's that, elections matter. They have consequences, and I think you're seeing that, and especially among our young people. I don't hear nearly as many young people say, it doesn't matter, my vote doesn't count. But we have to still drive that message to folks. We still have to make sure that they understand how to get registered and where to vote. But I'm encouraged by the increased sort of political activity, voting activity that I'm seeing around the county. I think it's a good thing.
What would you say to the younger generation about the ones that have been participating in the protest, how to take that voice and take it a step further to turn it into policy? How can they get from step A to step B, in your opinion?
That's a great question. And it goes back to what we first started talking about, voting, because the demonstrations have highlighted and given voice to some very important issues that we need to make sure change into actual policy solutions and reforms. Well, the way that happens is collectively, all of us together agreeing to do that through our local governments, whether it be your local city government, county government, state, or federal. That's how policies change. And so making sure that you're an active part of that government, and you have the greatest responsibility of all. You get to decide who sits in these chairs. And it's a huge power and responsibility, but it's how we turn anger into action. And so I would say, if you're upset, or if you feel strong and passionate about your positions, make sure that you hold your elected officials accountable at the ballot box. That's the most effective way. That's how our system was designed, frankly.
We're joined by David Coulter, the Oakland County Executive on the Oakland County Megacast, all throughout the local area on a family of community television and radio stations. We're also today on the Facebook page of Premier Pet Supply, and thank them and their tens of thousands of followers and likes for joining us today on the program. So Executive Coulter, there's a new rent, mortgage, and utility relief program that's been started in Oakland County. From the Oakland County website, quote, Oakland County residents who have fallen behind on their rent, mortgage, or utility payments because of a lost job or other income reduction due to the COVID-19 pandemic may be eligible for a one-time grant of up to $15,000 per household. So Executive Coulter, tell us a bit about this program, who qualifies, and how do people apply?
Yeah, so, it has been evident through this pandemic that a lot of people are getting laid off or unemployed. Unemployment has shot through the roof in Michigan and throughout the country. And we know that has a direct impact on people being able to stay in their housing. And that is just critically important. We were fortunate in Oakland County to get federal funds to help with our relief efforts in COVID. And our staff decided that among many groups, we've been working with our small businesses and our nonprofits and our faith-based communities, but our residents who need housing assistance is a critical component of what we're looking at. And so there's a whole bunch of regulations and rules that you gotta read through. So I would invite people, the simplest thing to do is to go to oakgov.com. And if you hit on the COVID-19 button, you'll find the information around whether you qualify. But the simple answer is we're trying to get you mortgage and rent assistance. And these are grants, not loans, so you wouldn't have to pay these back. This can get you through if your situation is COVID related. So if you've been laid off or you've lost income because of COVID, you will qualify. So to see all the requirements, go on our website. It's really simple. We've made the application really simple. And if you have questions about it, there's a number on there for one of our housing counselors who can help you determine whether you qualify and how to apply.
It's an interesting program. And I think this is definitely going to be a big help for a lot of people in our local area who are struggling with keeping their rent payments and their mortgage payments and their utility payments going due to lost wages and so on due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But there is a sense of urgency with this also. Some of these people are not going to be able to wait very long to have those funds come in and be able to still maintain their rent and their utility and their mortgage payments potentially. So, and with that in mind, I ask, how long should people be expecting to wait after they've applied for a grant to hear back and maybe even receive those funds?
Well, you're absolutely right. There is a sense of urgency, and part of the urgency for us is that the governor has a eviction moratorium that originally went till the end of this month. I believe it's been extended another 2 weeks, but people are in this situation now. They need to respond to their landlord or their mortgage company now. And so our goal is to get this money out the door as quick as possible. Our Board of Commissioners turned this around really quickly because we have to have approval on how we spend all this money from our board. So they've already met, they've approved the fund. The application is meant to be as simple as possible. And, I can't give you a specific, you apply this day and it'll be this many days, but I do want to assure your listeners, we know the urgency. We know that your landlord or mortgage company is looking for that payment, and we don't want you to be late and get penalized. So we're going to turn these funds around just as quickly as we can and get this money in your hands or the hands of your landlord or mortgage company just as quickly as we can, because we know that the need is now.
Oakland County Executive David Coulter with us on the Oakland County Megacast throughout the local area. Executive Coulter, you had mentioned that these funds are coming from federal monies to the Oakland County. Some may be concerned that those are potentially loans and the county's going to have to pay that back and it's going to come out of the taxes. So where exactly is this money coming from? How is it applied to Oakland County? And is that going to affect the taxpayer down the line in order for this relief that's necessary to be enacted right now?
Yeah, so the good news for us as a county is it doesn't come out of our county taxes at all or our county budget. So earlier this year, I guess it would have been late March, the federal government passed the CARES Act. And that was their first stimulus package to help us navigate COVID. They're debating another one now that you may have heard of called the HEROES Act, because here's what happened. So the CARES Act was money available for local units of government that have 500,000 people or more. So Oakland County qualified. We have 1.25 million people in Oakland County. So we got over $200 million from the federal government to support COVID efforts in the county. When you hear about the HEROES Act that people are talking about passing in Washington now, those are for counties and local governments, cities, villages, townships, the smaller ones. So we have this money. It came from the federal government through the CARES Act. We have to spend it by the end of this year. So we've gotten very aggressive about making sure that everybody in our county that needs assistance, like I said, whether it's our businesses, our nonprofits, our churches, our veterans, and now our homeowners and renters have the support that they need, and it's not coming out of county dollars. I don't want to say it's not tax dollars because, of course, it comes out of the federal treasury, but this is money that was given to Oakland County specifically for this purpose. So it's very appropriate that we do this, and this is a critical group of people that need a short-term support. And as you said, it's a grant, not a loan. So don't be afraid that you're adding to your debt by applying for this. This will be money that will be granted directly to you.
Talking about money and the budget, everyone's budget has taken a hit during COVID-19. How is Oakland County doing, and are you concerned if some of the businesses have to shut back down because people are not wearing the mask and the virus continues to spread?
Yeah. So I'm always concerned about everything. I think I get paid to just worry about stuff. But both of those things are a concern of mine. We look at our budget very closely. The good news is we don't have the same budget pressures as the state or even like the city of Detroit, because our budget is primarily financed through property tax revenue, and property values in Oakland County so far, knock on wood, have remained pretty stable. So this isn't like the Great Recession where you saw a bottoming out of the property values. We haven't seen that yet. And so for now, we're tightening our belt. We have a hiring freeze on in the county. We're eliminating positions, and we're doing those sort of things, but we haven't had to lay anybody off, and we haven't had to have, mass slashing of the budget. But I am very concerned about our businesses and them following the health protocols. We saw an example of this last week where a nightclub in Royal Oak, it was too crowded and there weren't enough face masks. And now we know of at least 3 people who have contracted coronavirus from being there. I can't emphasize enough that even though we brought our numbers down in Oakland County and we're doing really well and everybody's efforts have helped, the virus is still very real. We haven't defeated it. We don't have a cure for it. We don't have a treatment for it. So right now, the best thing that we can still do is social distance, wear our masks in public. And that is critical, because if we don't do that, we will get a second spike. I think there's almost no doubt about that anymore. So we have to take this very deadly virus very seriously still until we have a treatment or a vaccine.
Oakland County Executive David Coulter with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Executive Coulter, yesterday at her press conference, Governor Whitmer revealed some points of her proposed police reforms that may be coming up very soon at the state level. Includes, but is not limited to, banning chokeholds and windpipe blockage, further limits on no-knock warrants, installing duty to intervene policies in departments, making false racially motivated 911 calls a hate crime, and requiring further training on the job for officers in order to maintain their license. Your thoughts on these police reforms being proposed by the governor, and are any of these reforms that are being proposed already in the works or in conversations at the county level?
Right. So I love the reforms. I think they're appropriate. I think the governor's leadership on this has been solid. So a couple of things, in Oakland County, every city, village, or township either has their own local police department or they've contracted with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. So if you're a local police, if your community has a local police department, they're the ones that need to adopt these reforms. And so you should be asking your police chief and your mayor or township supervisor if they plan to implement these reforms, because I think they're logical and smart things to do. But I also know that here in Oakland County, our sheriff's department is overseen by our Oakland County Sheriff, Mike Bouchard. So his boss is actually you, the voters, not me. But I've had conversations with Mike, and he's very open to these. A number of these reforms he's already adopted, and so it's a good question for the sheriff. But I know that he is looking at these reforms. He's been publicly supportive of many of them. But those would be instituted in the communities that we, as a sheriff's department, operate. But if you're in a local city like Birmingham, for instance, you have your own police department, and it really is incumbent upon you to ask your police chief and your city commissioners whether they agree with adopting these reforms, which I, as I said, I think are very common sense and helpful reforms.
Oakland County Executive David Coulter with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Executive Coulter, we talked yesterday to Dr. Russell Faust, the medical director for the Oakland County Health Department.
He's the best. He's our Dr. Fauci. He's amazing. Yeah.
He really is. No, he's fantastic every time we have him on, and he gives us the honest answers every single time. He does not mince his words at all. We asked him yesterday if he was concerned that people are letting their guards down a bit, and he said yes. He said that he is concerned about that, with especially with the younger people in our communities. And Dr. Caldoun at yesterday's press conference even said the most recent upticks in COVID-19 cases, the new common age bracket is ages 20 to 29. We've seen outbreaks that have been contact traced to local restaurants and bars in Oakland County. Of course, at Fifth Avenue is one of the examples, and then also most notably in the state level at Harper's in East Lansing, Michigan as well. Any concerns about residents gathering in confined spaces and closed spaces like restaurants and bars and other public areas, given that we have a holiday weekend coming up, and what that could mean for the COVID-19 response in the county going forward?
Yeah, so to quote my friend Dr. Faust, yes, I am concerned. We are in a period now. We're in phase 4 of the governor's 6 phases. We're trying to get to phase 5, and I think we're getting close. Our overall positivity rate warrants us beginning to move forward, but it has to be a cautious and careful reopening. And if we don't do this carefully, if we stop doing the things that we've been doing since early March, and by the way, that we've been doing so well, we've done a great job in Oakland County. We've taken this seriously. I don't mean us, I mean our residents, our businesses. They've taken this seriously. And as a result, we brought our numbers down. But there are now examples of folks who feel like, all right, the businesses are reopening. I can get back to my life as I used to know it. And we're just simply not there yet. That's what I said earlier, that we have not defeated this very deadly virus. And so we can't allow packed groups of people without social distancing, without masks on. This will cause, hot spots in our county to pop up as these kinds of events are allowed to happen. And so phase 5 does not look like the end. It looks like phase 5. And that still means no large crowds without social distancing. And we're still in that phase. I just want people to be very careful. And as you pointed out, a lot of it is younger people. Most people who have died of COVID in Oakland County have been older. 97% of the people who have died in Oakland County have been over the age of 50. But here's the thing. I don't want young people to think that just because they're not dying of the disease, that they can't pass it on to their parents and their grandparents and other people that they care about and love. They can certainly be a carrier of this to other people. So even if they're not at the same level of risk for dying of COVID, they are at the same risk of contracting it and potentially passing it on to their loved ones. So that's why they've got to continue, especially, to take this seriously.
Executive Coulter, just a couple more minutes with you. Anything else you'd like to touch on before we let you go today?
I just want to, we're approaching a holiday weekend, right? And I want to just applaud our residents. I can't wait to have a parade where we celebrate how well we have done. This has been difficult. We've lost jobs. We've lost businesses. We've lost loved ones to this virus. And when this is over, we should have a parade just like parades we had when we won the war. But I just want to say with this, especially with this holiday weekend coming up, we haven't won the war yet. It's not over. We still have to be on guard. And especially this weekend where you might have an urge to gather in groups and let down your guard. Please, Oakland County, stay safe. Keep your family and your loved ones safe. We will get through this together, but it's too early to let our guard down. So let's not let this holiday be the thing that causes a spike and cause us to go backwards in Oakland County. And by the way, have a great holiday weekend, everyone. Celebrate our country, celebrate our freedoms, but do it safely.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Oakland County Executive David Coulter.